All right, welcome back to the skills book portion of this. So you're going to see two attachments. One is going to be the skills book, and one is going to be the skills book resources. On the front page of those, they look identical, slightly different fonts. Sorry, we didn't design them. This is what they are, but I'll have them titled differently. You'll see the differences in them. So I'm going to go over with you these packets and give you kind of a brief overview. As always, you know where to find me if you have additional questions, or drop it in that chat. So scrolling down here, you're going to see the JPRs, so essentially what this curriculum was written to, the job performance requirements for a Fire Officer 2 base and FPA. You'll also see the course syllabus. If you see these prerequisites, please do not panic. Springfield has had the ICS 300 waived because of our career progression guide that says we give it at a specific spot, which is chief officers or aspiring chief officers or untitled chief officers, but not captains or lieutenants. So you do not have to worry about the ICS 300. So if you see that, just kind of blow that off. Then it's going to show you kind of the schedules and some of the projects and what they tie to. The reason this matters to you is if you're working on projects 1 and 2 and you say, man, I'm kind of struggling here, where do I go back to find kind of the topic or the curriculum that explained this or helped me with this? Well, you kind of see it. So you look at this correlation, you'll see that chapter 12 covered the first couple projects and then the tasks as well. So it can kind of help key you into that. So we'll get down to the first task. So you're going to have to implement a department-wide program to install child safety seats for citizens. It's going to involve writing a memo. So I will drop the memo format for Springfield in the course curriculum, so you can download this template. Things to remember on memos. Memos are very formal. Memos are not they are not, dear Chief Pennington, from Ben Wall. These are very much the letterhead up top. You'll see it's to, from, date, topic, brief summation of the topic, and send. This is not a letter. Okay. So it's going to ask you some things. Now, if I jump over here to the skills resources, it's talking about child safety seats. Well, here's the resources that you're looking for. So this is what kind of fills you in. So gives you the information you need to be able to tie it over to make that release. And then right here, you have full access to the grading rubric, the criteria. So when you get done and you grade that, you are going to have a memo that is done, and you can send it to me and we can put it together. Captain Miller will be running these packets. Again, when it's done, this is what you send to him. Another point of order is if you submit anything that is handwritten, we will not accept it. We will tell you to do it again, please. The state will automatically fail it and say, try take number 2. Okay, they will not accept anything handwritten. It has to all be digital. So make sure that's how that happens. But here's your grading rubric. So what are you being graded on? So 5 points are importance in logical order. So if I look back above, and I look at exactly what they say. Okay, so I'm gonna essentially write to the exact standard of what they're asking for. So they want a memorandum explaining the availability of resources. So that's 1 for implementing that program. They also want me to explain how the external organizations will benefit the department, and then in providing the safety service. So it's pretty much the 2 things it's asking me to do. So I'm gonna write in those orders, and then it talks about, okay, estimated time frame. So I need to make sure I put a time frame there. Now, don't get in the weeds. Don't spend, a page explaining, this grand scheme of time frame. Put something in there a little bit generic. This could take 30 to 90 days, or we think the training our people on car seat installation will take, 6 months to get everybody trained, and then it's going to take another month to implement a program. You're not going to be implementing this, so you don't have to have perfectly realistic expectations, to be honest. Personnel availability, they want you to talk about safety considerations. So just go down through these and say, have I written to this point? And if I have, good. Is it in the correct spot? If I haven't written to it, I need to make sure I put it. Because if I put everything in this grading rubric is in my memo, it's a pass, okay? Unless you write in chicken scratch, you didn't handwrite it. Unless it is unreadable, you're going to pass because you've essentially written to the rubric. You've written exactly what they've asked you for. So task number 2 talks about corrective action for a firefighter. So he took a reciprocating saw home with him. So he took a city-owned tool home with him to use on personal projects, brought it back. He doesn't think it's a big deal, kind of blows you off. So how do you, as a company officer, how do you deal with this, right? So again, it doesn't really apply to this class, but I'll put our discipline policy in, the city discipline policy in here, so you kind of use that as a resource. But, list recommendations for correct situations. So you can base it off of that policy if you like, our corrective discipline. You can reference our policies. So let's say it is, someone doesn't wear a seatbelt. Let's say that's your corrective action, right? This one is a reciprocating saw. So you can talk about our merit rules. Say that you cannot use city tools for personal use. So wink, wink. I just gave you a hint where to find that. You can't use city tools for personal use. You can't take them home. Cannot be done. So if there's anything of any fiscal value, you can't take it home. So look into that, and you can reference that. The state is not going to come back and be like, hey, I want your merit rule, okay? If you speak to it knowledgeably, they're going to assume that you're referencing something that does exist, so we're okay there. Talk about the need for action, explain why this is not okay. And then, member improvement inspected. Excuse me. So what do we expect? I think his name was Joe. What do we expect Joe Smith to do in the future? So how do we move forward from here? So, and then, an extra point for understandably and clearly writing the objective. So down to task 3. You shall develop a policy or procedure of your choice. So pick something that you are passionate about, something you want to see change, or something if you just like, hey, I really have no idea, I don't have anything. There's a list of some options here. So pick something, and then again, you're writing another memo. Most of this is memo writing. Okay, this is this is measuring, critical thinking, deductive reasoning, reasonable thought. Are we thinking at that higher level? Are we taking these theories, these practices we learned in the book, and are we applying them to real life? So that's what they're looking at. So a policy statement and a statement of purpose. So a statement of purpose is, the intent of this memo is for, or the intent of this policy is for to ensure safety for our crews. And then the detailed policy statement may be like, in order to ensure safety for our crews, we are going to have 100% compliance with a seatbelt policy at all times. Okay, I would Google those and look at different examples to kind of get your brain juices, flowing here as to what the difference between a statement of purpose and a policy statement are. They're also in the book. And then you do have to talk about the policy, who it applies to, and what happens if you don't comply. The pretty easy answer for all policies is non-compliance can result in, progressive disciplinary policy for the city of Springfield. But they're not asking you to say, well, it would, result in a write-up, and then it just, you can be a little more blanket statement than that. And then, prepare the report for the chief. So you're going to have the practice policy on one side, and you're also going to have the report that you prepare for the chief. So it's going to be another memorandum. So 2 different things there. Developing a budget. So they want you to do a hazmat budget. So essentially, we're going to be buying some stuff for the hazmat team. So yeah, you guys are super stoked. I know it. We're going to do some hazmat work here. But again, you go to the practical skills resource book. I'm tabbing over here real quick, and they'll give you everything you need again. So there was also all the information, on the disciplinary issue right above. They give you a example, a disciplinary process if you want to rely on that one to reference. But again, you can always go to the AHJ and say, well, this is what ours says. This is how we would handle it. And they'll be fine with that. That's really what the point of these classes are, is to get you digging into our stuff. So I would encourage that. There. So here's our TICHEM stuff for the hazmat skill, jumping back. How much are the hard hats? What do they look like? Here's the descriptions. So you're going to be writing that out. Again, will there be new cost? If, we come over here and say, type 2 hard hats will be needed. Well, would there need to be cost or would there not be? full face mask. Well, we already have respirators, right? So we already have face pieces. So there would be no cost to Springfield for that. So you could write in there, we need these, already have them, so there will be no additional cost. But what we don't have are Ansell PVC gloves, you know? So you're writing to that. Explain the line items to tell them where the money's going to come from. And it could be as simple as, we don't have a source, we're going to need a source. So a professional development plan. So a professional development plan is an employee who's not quite meeting the mark. Name something, whatever you want it to be. For this position, I think there's specific. He wants to develop and become a lieutenant. Okay, so performance improvement plan as a whole. It could be firefighter, you know, Smith has not been pulling hose lines correctly, has not been doing crosslinks correctly. So I'm going to, you know, every shift we're going to do 5, you know, hose light pulls until we meet a certain benchmark in 2 minutes that we've decided to beat. It could be, so that's kind of a more negative side of professional development plans. So we're trying to correct a problem. We're trying to correct a behavior where we're trying to correct a deficiency. But this is more on the positive side of that plan. So here they are, and this is where they want to be. And so we're going to come with a plan how to get them there, right? So essentially, it's professional development, it's mentorship. It's what you as a company officer will be doing. So looking at the job description, again, that's over here in the skills book. And then you're going to look at their current performance. And then at the very end, you're going to say, okay, this is how you came in. Essentially, you're doing an evaluation. And then the second portion is a professional development plan, personal professional development plan. So don't overthink it again. So you, whoever you are, have a friend walk into the fire station. You're sitting there on shift again. They go, listen, I really want to become, you know, whatever, EO, LT, whatever it is. What should I do? And you've been there. Tell me, what should I do? So essentially, share what you would tell somebody. This is where you're strong. This is where you're weak, as I see it. This is how we can get you better. This is how we can prepare you. And you were just documenting that plan. Here's the performance evaluation portion of it. So again, you're grading them against this left side, and you're putting the comments on the right side. Task number 6 is a fire investigation. Go over into the skills sheet, and they're going to, apologize for all the noise. There's a ruckus out there. Go into the skills sheet, and I'm going to have all the stuff for the investigation. So my address, the time, the weather, all the things you're looking for, they're all right here. So area with greatest fire damage, materials first ignited. Okay, so use this and use paint, use something, and just put some colors in some certain areas and put some text box in there, and we'll just kind of walk them closer. So here's what I'm talking about. Use paint and drop some color somewhere, drop some text in there. That'll help them, you know, kind of, it'll help you identify what you're talking about, you know, as far as area of origin. And then the preliminary fire investigation. Now, what is not appropriate is to write in there, referred to fire marshal's office, I'm out, right? They're looking for you to do something. So at the end of this, if you write, this is what I found, here was the damage, here's what I investigated, now I refer to the fire marshal's office, because in actuality, that's what we would do as Springfield, right? But you can't just kick it there. I've seen packets come in where it literally just says refer to fire marshal's office. Well, you didn't do a skill, so you're going to have to do that part. So areas of origin, again, you can just write in there, you know, denoted by the red dot in this, you know, northwest corner of the building. If further investigation is required, you might say refer to Fire Marshal 3. Coming down here to task number 7. So you are preparing an operational plan for a Golden Age nursing home. So I'll get here down to the skills again. Taking longer than I expected. I should scroll, but I can't see the screen. All right, so here's the operational plans. So here's all the information, what the facility is, building construction, building type, orientation, northeast, southwest type stuff, when the call came in, who you have, what is your ERF? So your effective response force is sitting here. And then here's your building. And again, you can mark this up with some colors and some stuff using some sort of editing software, not editing software, but like Paint. You don't have to use, photo editor. It gives you a 360 of the building, and it gives you, sorry, I overjumped here a little bit. I apologize. I jumped skills without even realizing. There. So task 7 ends with the 365. So draw that one up. Task number 8, this is one where you're going to have to actually have a call that ties back to this. So things to make sure you do. You have to have a copy of the incident reports. So go in and print that firehouse reports, ask your battalion to help, ask Miss Amanda to help. There's a couple different ways you can get this, but get that incident report. And then you have to have a memo from the officer. So it says who assumed command of the incident. Now, you might have been command of the incident the whole time, but let's say the battalion arrived and became safety. Let's say, whatever it was. It could be an MVA and no chief officer is there to, fill this spot. You could have your chief officer still look at that report and write the memorandum stating, yes, they were in command. Under incident actions taken under yourself, you can go into your personnel record and you can click incident command under yourself. And so it'll show in that report. But it has to be a multi-company operation. This does not mean that it has to be some insane call. It doesn't have to be a high rise. So multi-company operation, and you have to be in command overall, right? So that's again where it's kind of confusing because it says the memo has to be written by the person in command, but you're in command. So keep command, and then talk about the post incident from that. You'll see it can be a fire, it can be a rescue, or it can be a hazmat. So for the state, rescue would be an MVA. Okay, so you could use an MVA as an example. The important thing is to make sure that people actually show up and arrive on scene. Make sure you're not the only one there. This one is very specific to, seems to be house fire specific. But if you can get a house fire, use a house fire. If not, we should be able to get something else to go through. So what did you do when you got there? How did it work? Stuff like that. Extrication procedures. So there's probably a good example for a car wreck. If there was any investigations, if there's any sort of this part of this pack that is not applicable to what you ran, right? So we're not going to talk about hazmat on MVA. Maybe. Just put NA or just leave it blank. Don't worry about it. You don't have to write something to it. And then task 9. This is service demands. So you're going to find a bunch of information here under resources. So it shows your call volume. It shows what happened, your changes in calls, or memorandums touching on those. And then what I believe to be your final task is task 10, so 10 total. You have to analyze an incident from a motor vehicle accident. Again, more stuff here in the skills resources. It shows you pictures of the accidents. That's a doozy. Gives you accident report. So this would be, PD's report, and then you have to analyze it. You provide a conclusion and a recommendation. This is an investigation of an accident. This is not a disciplinary hearing. Okay, so don't go off down the road of, well, this is how we need to punish firefighter. And so that's not what they're looking for. You could give recommendations such as, I believe, additional training, or I believe, additional driving time. You can give something like that, but they're not asking for you to attach blame or discipline. Okay, you are saying, these are the factors we found. This is the result that we found from this. And this is what I would recommend we do to remedy this from happening again in the future. So that is the 10 skills. At the very end, this page doesn't affect you, but this is how they'll grade it overall. You have to get 84 of 120 of the points. So, all right. So that concludes your skills book orientation. You know where to find me. Email me, call me, text me, whatever you want to do. If you have any more questions, we'll get that figured out. And I look forward to seeing you succeed.